Something most patients are never told. The best radiation plan is sometimes chosen around the machine a hospital owns, and not the biology that's right for your cancer, meaning the right type of radiation. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The data shows us that about 40 to 50% of all radiation is palliative, meaning it's not trying to cure the cancer, slowing things down, maybe trying to improve quality of life, but we can change that. So in this episode today, we're going to break down the radiation wars and this new disruptive technology that uses no radiation but ultrasound, yes, sound waves to kill tumors, and how that can be developed into systemic immunotherapy. So this is a really unique episode today and really exciting. I'm Dr. Dino Prato, founder of Invita Medical Centers. For the last 25 years, my team and I have helped people that have failed some of the top hospitals across the world. We're utilizing some of the newest technologies to help our patients respond to treatment and using techniques in immunotherapy to help. And so what I'm going to do in this episode is go into that, starting with radiation and then working our way into sonodynamic therapy or sound waves and how they work and how we can use that in a program we like to call in our facilities phonics, which is kind of like symphony music, to go after tumors. So let's get started. Of course, before you change any of your medical care, make sure you're in touch or working with your doctor. So most large investors like Jeff Bezos and Peter Thiel and others love disruptive technology. They've heavily invested in Histonics, which is a company that is using histotripsy, which is focused on ultrasounds to kill tumors. In August 2025, there was a consortium that acquired this technology, and the goal is to make it global and use it on many cancers. And why this is exciting is because unlike radiation, it melts a tumor. So think of it like an egg. You get the ultrasound, and after you're done, you get this material in the tumor that's like liquid, that's called a lysate. And that information is rich with antigens, neoantigens, damage-associated molecular patterns, tumor fragments that are powerful for the immune system. In fact, in animal studies, they were able to transport that lysate into another tumor in the body and shrink it. So this is why this is exciting, because you can shrink the tumor with no radiation and then use that data. But most people won't hear about this, or if you do, it might be for maybe a liver disease at this point, but it's moving forward. And so we like to call that symphonics, like a symphony to get your immune system augmented to go after the cancer. And there's tools both in the phytotherapeutic world and integrative world that can be used to enhance sonodynamic therapy as an adjuvant. All this technology could greatly change the way we treat cancer, and we're actually working in that space right now. It's very exciting to me because it's immunotherapy centric, because all of what we like to build is based on the immune system. So stick with me. We're going to go through this today and hopefully illuminate our eyes to this technology that's changing the way we see cancer. And especially when you have big dollars by big investors coming in, they're always looking for disruptive technology and also trying to help humanity. And I think there's a combination here, because bringing these drugs or sometimes machines like this into the market is a very expensive process, and it's not one that's easy. So by having dollars behind it and the right institutions, we're going to see it move forward quickly. But let's get started here first. Radiation itself can be life-saving, but here's what most people don't hear. Radiation side effects like fatigue, skin irritation, hair loss, digestive issues, they can impact their mouth, their throat, difficulty swallowing, dry mouth, all these things that really don't make radiation very appealing. And that's why I think a lot of people want newer technology. But a huge amount of radiation given is really not even to cure the cancer. Studies show us that 40 to 50% of all radiation therapy is palliative. And I don't like that. But in my opinion, that's when you really start working on immunotherapy, because you're buying time. And sometimes radiation in the right microdoses can be used to hone the immune system, like NK cells, T cells, to go to these inflammatory regions to kill tumor. So if radiation is often about buying time, then what's the real question? What are we doing during that time? We need to get other targets on board. Use this time like a smoke alarm to get the immune system moving so we can shut the cancer down. And this is where tools like cancer cell vaccines, immunotherapies, direct-to-tumor targeting can really enhance the overall response of the patient going beyond just standard radiation. But there's a hidden war that nobody talks about. And here's how it looks. There's money that's driving radiation. So if a hospital owns that equipment, that's what you're going to get, because that's what they've invested in. And it may or may not be the best for your type of cancer. It's what they have. And so that's what you're getting. You know, when you're talking about investments that are 2 or 5 million, or a proton beam that could be hundreds of millions, like the Mayo Clinic has, they're going to use that equipment everywhere they can and twice on Sunday, because they're paying for this very expensive equipment. Unfortunately, it may not be the best thing for you, or it may not be the newest technology. But if a hospital which has special billing rights, this is something people don't know, hospitals can charge more for radiation, much more than a standalone clinic, which I think is ridiculous, but they can, because they have contracts contracts with insurance and deals that allows them to charge much more. So if they own radiation equipment and they're able to bill a lot of money for it, they're going to use it. And it doesn't always incentivize them to use newer technology like the one I'm talking about that uses sound, which is going to be a lot cheaper and at the same time doesn't profit as much for them. So it's going to come down to billing. That's the cancer industrial complex. You may want to watch my other episodes on that, but that's what's driving radiation. And radiation therapy began after the discovery of X-rays in 1895. And it was radioactivity soon after they looked at, okay, this is powerful. Can we use it to kill cells? And we can. And so from there, then we started developing CTs and imaging. And now a lot of these different types of radiation like IMRT, rapid arc, cyberknife, proton beam, and one of my favorites, brachytherapy, which is actually just little seeds that they can put around the prostate and breast and other areas, has kind of gone away because it's not as profitable, but actually works very well for some patients. These technologies are not always used equally. It depends on the equipment and the doctor and the technology. Even newer technology like Y90, which is radiation the size of red blood cells being placed directly in the liver or other areas just to kill and then dissolve. So that's very, very precision and can have its place in certain cancers. And now we have things like MRI-guided radiation, or even in research studies like flash radiation, where it's like 1,000 times faster trying to kill the tumors quickly. But radiation, in my opinion, is always been an adjuvant care, meaning it's alongside. And oftentimes we don't even want to use radiation. If we have to, we use it, but it's not ideal. Which brings me to my next point. What about a new technology that might eliminate radiation? Because people think they're getting radiation, but it's like someone saying, oh, you need radiation. That's like saying you need a vehicle. And so there's a difference between a bicycle and a jet airplane and everything in between. What is that vehicle going to look like? There's all different kinds of radiation equipment that could be some better, more expensive, on-off label usages. But do we have a technology that can be so disruptive that could eliminate a lot of radiation, move us from palliative care, and engage the immune system so now we have full immunotherapy? And I believe this is the technology. It's called ultrasound. And it's using sound waves to basically destroy tumors. With concentrated sound waves mapping, you can go right over a tumor and essentially melt it. It's almost like a Star Wars. And when you melt that tumor, inside the tumor, you have something called lysate. It's a liquid-rich material. Now, I'm going to give you this analogy so you can visualize it, because I always like to make complicated subjects easier. Remember those eggs they sell at Easter where you have the liquid in the middle and the chocolate on the outside? Well, imagine the outside of the tumor is demarcated by that chocolate and the inside becomes all liquid. And now we can go into that liquid and use that liquid information to tell the rest of the body, here's what the cancer cells look like. Tell your immune system, here's where the cancer is. Augment the immune system with other immunotherapies or adjuvants, and now not only get a kill on the big tumors, we get a systemic response on all the micro cells throughout the body. In fact, maybe build long-term memory to our T cells, to our immune system, using phytotherapeutic adjuvants alongside this lysate. That's the potential. Now, of course, this is new, but in many ways, we've already seen it in animal studies, and I think it's going to be very exciting to see in patient care. Now, ultrasound's already available today. There are facilities that offer it for liver cancer. But in the integrative and precision oncology space, we're looking at everything because we believe it to be a far gentler approach, but actually a far more elegant approach, because then with interventional radiology oncology, the tools can be used to build a systemic immune response. So that doesn't mean that, radiation is going to go away altogether, but this technology is so disruptive that I believe it's going to take the place of a lot of radiation in the future. Now, if you own a proton beam and you spent $200 million building it and a football-sized campus to deliver it, you probably don't like that. But the reality is that's why it'll be slow to adoption. So a lot of the technology is coming, but we have a cancer industrial complex. And until they figure out how to profit, get high reimbursement rates, it doesn't make it. And they've already invested in older technology, so they're just not going to get rid of it. And in reality, there's a place for all this technology, but it's the right one that patients need. Like, take, for instance, brachytherapy, those little seeds I talked about that are used in prostate cancer. They're fabulous when you don't need a lot of them and they can shut the cancer down. And with good immunotherapy, you can have great responses without a lot of toxicity, but it's not used because it's not as profitable. And so when there's not the reimbursement, you don't see it being used. And I think that's what you're going to see with ultrasound. But I think that's going to change when you look at precision oncology. You can take, cancers like colon and just dissolve it, then take the liquid, build an immunotherapy, put it into other tumors using interventional radiology oncology. And now in a 45-minute or, hour procedure, you've killed the tumor, you've taken the information from the tumor, and you're moving it elsewhere in the body with immunotherapy adjuvants to stimulate immunity. So you don't move until you have multi-omics. So not just biomarkers in DNA, but you have transcriptomics, 1,000+ markers, spatial biology, immune profiling. Now you know what this cancer is doing. You can heat map its mechanisms and use that as part of the treatment strategy to shut the tumor down. So now we're using the best of conventional, integrative hybrids that are customized for each patient. And ultrasound is very powerful because in integrative care, we have a lot of tools that augment sound therapy. They actually improve sonodynamic therapy, which is another way of saying ultrasound therapy, because they're sonodynamic agents that help. And then those in nanoparticle delivery to the tumor prior to the ultrasound will have a very good effect. So let me give you an example. Let's say somebody has a very resistant tumor that has lots of tumor stem cells and won't die off. There are integrative agents and nanoparticles that are delivered, like a curcumin or a quercetin. And then that, before the sonodynamic therapy, will help more cancer stem cells die off and create a better lysate that is then able to be used for better immunotherapy. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. I'm very excited about that because that's part of the work our team is involved with in this project we call Symphonics. I see a world where people are treated very quickly, very precisely, and they're able to go home and then monitor and change diet, lifestyle, metabolomics, shut the glucose down, the poor dietary habits. You need to do all the right things so you're not feeding the cancer and building your body's immune system. But these tools help us to quickly, precisely shut the cancer down. And that's very exciting. Now, by the time this type of technology makes it to a hospital with all the different things I'm talking about today or variations of that, you're probably a decade out, unfortunately. But you're seeing it now available for liver cancers. And that's why you've got all these billions of dollars being invested into this technology. It's exciting. And I remember when technologies like CyberKnife came out and they had a place in brain cancers on the very exciting stuff. Now we're looking at even more excitement because we're using no radiation. We're using ultrasound. It's so exciting. So you don't have all the toxicity, all the die-off, but you have the right multi-omics and AI deep learning to take that data from the lysate and then build an immunotherapy vaccine with adjuvants to get a full body response to other tumors in the body. It's pretty brilliant and exciting. And I think it's like, again, another Star Wars approach to shutting down cancers. So what I want you to know is that most of the time, patients don't have access to these things. As I'm teaching and talking about them, it's possible, but it's not out there yet. And so the goal of precision oncology is to use data over dogma, use real data points and information that guides the treatment and the monitoring to the patient. These algorithms can really make a difference in patient care. So I hope this was helpful, got you really excited about what's coming in the area to replace, I hope, most of radiation oncology with something elegant where you don't get all those sore side effects and you get immunotherapy to shut the cancer down and the patient gets a positive response. And I want to share with you that 90% of you that are watching this have not subscribed to the channel. And the reason I'm asking you to subscribe is not just to help the channel, but to help people. The way that the YouTube algorithms work is that the more people subscribe, like, and respond, it pushes it out to more people. So this information of precision oncology can get to doctors and patients all over the world. So it changes the way they think and the way they adopt care. That's how information works in so many ways. And I hope that you can help us because we want to get out of this one-size-fits-all standard of care oncology and move into precision where people can respond better with a better quality of life. I hope this episode was helpful and may the Lord bless you on your journey to healing.